Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Randomize and this is BioShock 2 here on the BioShock collection for PlayStation 4. Now, a while back, it's probably well over a year now, I did a Let's Challenge on BioShock. One of the great games, in my opinion, of the PS3 era. Really good game that I thoroughly enjoyed. And we attempted through my Let's Challenge strategy, which I've been doing several variations of on this channel. And so, with BioShock 2 being here and me finally having, finally getting around to it, I thought we could give BioShock 2 here a go with another Let's Challenge. And so, for those of you who are new to the channel or who haven't watched my videos before, a Let's Challenge is a challenge mode in which we play through the game and we use the trophies, or we use some metric, but it's often the trophies that are awarded through the game as lives. And if we run out of lives, then that means that we lose the challenge and we don't, so we lose the challenge. Now, the BioShock games tend to have a fair number of trophies associated with them, but we also play the game on the hardest difficulty in order to try and give the game a fair shot. Because obviously, if we played it on the easiest difficulty, I think it would be generally pretty simple, a pretty simple task, approximately. So we're going to play through on the hardest difficulty that's available at the start of the game. That's usually the metric that I suggest is the hardest difficulty available at the start of the game. I've also generally done a lot of things just on sort of like the hard. There's usually a difficulty called hard, which is greater than medium but less than the super hard difficulties, if there is one, and that's something that we're going to do here. So here we have it, BioShock 2. It's a game that I think there's a lot of criticism of it, sort of just trying to ride on the coattails of the previous game, which I do understand. It obviously does, a lot of the power of BioShock 2 does come from everything you got from BioShock 1, in terms of the atmosphere, the city, building up all of that sort of stuff. And without that, it is, it does need BioShock 1 in order to play. But at the same time, I think it's a good game in of itself. I really enjoy BioShock 2. And obviously there are people who have its criticisms, as I said. That's fine. But I think in terms of providing you with more BioShock content, it does a really good job of that. So we're going to play on hard, as I said, and we're going to start off here. And one of the big things that I really like about BioShock 2 is the way it builds up. It continues to build on what we already know about Rapture. It builds up the mystique of the location. It builds in even more characters and some more locations that we haven't seen before. And it does all of that in a way that's very true to what we saw in the first game.
Look, Daddy, it's you. Let's go out to play, Daddy. More angels, Daddy. This way.
Come with us, little girl.
You want some, big guy? Hit it hard! Get out of here, freak!
There we are. He's perfectly safe now. This is not your daughter. Do you understand? Her name is Eleanor, and she is mine. Now, kneel, please. Remove your helmet. Now, take the pistol. Place it against your head. Fire.
Can you hear me?
So there we have it. What a start. It's not quite the same as the original BioShock. Obviously, the original BioShock has one of the most... just trying to think of a word. You know, it's not epic or anything like that, but one of the best starting... one of the absolute best classic video game entries. One of the best sort of introductions to the area that you ever see, and I think it's one of, you know, I think that's very much the case there. Now in this case, it's not quite that, and that must be said, but at the same time, you get there's a lot of information there, a lot of interest to be going on. We see that obviously there is a perspective of us being playing as the Big Daddy now, but not quite the Big Daddy that we're so familiar with if you did play the first game. There's an awful lot there that from the first game to give you, you know, to think about, such as yeah, obviously you being a different type of Big Daddy, but also the way the splicer in that uses a hypnotize plasmid, which I think is a really nice touch, because if you ever used that in the if you ever used the hypnotized plasmid in the first game, you would recognize those the green ball nature of that plasmid straight away. Okay, so we are down here in the Adonis Bath Resorts, a brand new location that we've never seen before, and yeah, there are some we can start seeing that it looks like the coral, sort of like the sea is continuing to take over the location, continuing to take over Rapture as best as it can. There we have a mysterious character jumping that way that we'll need to we'll learn more about very, very soon. So we've got Lamb is watching. There's a big warning sign there to let you know what's going on. Lamb, if we don't know already, Sophia Lamb was the lady that we saw in the opening cutscene, and we'll learn a lot more about her over the course of the game.
Lesson 1, mop jockeys. You are under the ocean now. If you feel the soft patter of rain on your hat, you're already fired. Lesson 2. You can jumpstart a dead generator with a direct spark, but clear the guests out of the pool first. Scares these rich pricks to watch a working stiff hurling thunderbolts. You follow me?
It could scare anyone to see someone throw, as they say, hurling thunderbolts. So, we have, just as we did in the first game, some key codes. In this case, if you spot the key code in the environment, you will just have it there when you come to the keypad, which is a nice sort of balance in the sense that you still need to find them, but it does make it quite a lot easier than it was in the first game, where you might have to remember.
My husband is such a perfect idiot. Throws away all his spending money on gene tonics to affect a look of physical fitness. So he'll have an excuse to sit on his rear all day listening to radio serials. Steven, I tell him, you want to be fit? Come swim laps with me, the old-fashioned way. It's your mind that's atrophying. Maybe I'll start sneaking some brain boost into his daily regimen.
So we meet our first set of some enemies, a set of splicers, and we can see that we can use the drill. Something that, because there was a section at the end of the first BioShock where you turned into a Big Daddy in a loose sense, but a big part of that was you never got to use a big drill, and in this game you definitely do. So again, a Lamb is watching. We can use these dispensers for more Eve hypos, which we will need. Because as with the, as ever with these type of games, in this early stage, you need to be really careful with how much, with resources, because you've got very few resources to start off with. So you see, please hurry, Daddy, from Eleanor, the girl that we heard from in the opening scene. She clearly still remembers us, even if somehow we've been, and maybe she has something to say into how we're back alive. Okay, so we'll just clear out everything as you always do in the BioShock games. Just go into a location, search it to high heaven, and then yes.
Daddy was sleeping for such a long time, and Eleanor has missed you. Find her and you'll be all better. Daddy!
Okay. So it wouldn't be BioShock if we didn't get Electrobolt nice and early on, the chance to throw thunderbolts from your fingers.
The heavens opened. I saw them open. Huh?
Banks sent you, didn't they?
Okay, lovely. I think we left some health here, just to top us up, and then as we follow the instructions from the audio diary, shock the generator to open the door and make our way further into the baths.
Ah, at last a signal. You who are bringing this dead city to life, listen. My name, it is Tannenbaum. I know who you are, and I am in much need of your help. Please, find me in the Atlantic Express train station.
But we see another Big Daddy doing one of their many jobs in terms of going outside and fixing up parts of Rapture. And we can find some more audio diaries.
Daughter, Eleanor, soon you will be born, and Rapture will be your home. You shall be raised as I was, to advance the common good through social psychiatry. This city's potential is immeasurable, Eleanor, yet our beliefs are unwelcome here. Life will be difficult, but the price of revolution is always dear. If we are patient with her, Rapture will come to us.
So we can use the water to increase the power of our Electrobolt there, as we once more hear that Lamb clearly had, Sophia Lamb that is, clearly had big plans for her daughter, even before she was even born. Okay.
I haven't had a taste of Adam in weeks.
This is Dr. Sophia Lamb with a message for the people. Remember, you are not alone. Think of me. I am back in Rapture after so many years. The little ones I rescued are grown up, and think of me no more. After what I once did to them, it was a joy to be forgotten. But now, all around the world, children vanish by the sea, kidnapped. And so I return, in fear of what I already know. Someone is making new little ones, continuing my work, my sins. Even if I am to die for it, I must stop them.
So there we have our returning character in Tenenbaum. We find out more about why she's back. And if you don't find that, we'll obviously meet her. She is the first sort of returning character, really, that we meet. Although it is worth saying that most of the game is spent with new characters, which I think was definitely a good decision, seeing as I think most of the characters from the first game, they sort of had their arcs, had their complete... we got as much out of a lot of characters as we maybe could have done. And so having the opportunity to meet more denizens of Rapture, to meet more characters and who they were and what they brought to this city, and what they thought of this city, is definitely a good thing. Okay, so we pick up our second weapon, the rivet gun. Essentially works like a pistol in a lot of ways, although you can fire it a little bit faster.
Barely made it down alive. But here it is. And it's real. Rapture. This is where that thing took my poor baby girl. From what I saw in the sub, most of the city's in ruins. But there were lights here and there. And shapes moving. I'm rambling, scared, I guess. But maybe, if I find this Dr. Lamb I keep hearing over the PA, I'll find Cindy too.
So Mr. Meltzer is an example of, we had a similar version in the first game where you would have a set of audio diaries, or sort of a sequence of audio diaries that themselves tell a story of a character that you wouldn't otherwise hear, because they're not actually a main character. They don't actually have any role to play in the actual main story. But you get to hear about them through the audio diaries.
Daddy, Big Sister doesn't want you playing with me.
So here we see Big Sister for the first time. Clearly none too happy with us.
Diane insisted that we spend a weekend at the Adonis. And already I find myself seeking a respite from she deems it necessary to chide me for working. The words dissolve into an endless animal hate. I founded Rapture to be free of law and God, to live among those for whom work is our wage. Yet, when Diane speaks of bearing my child, I am given pause. Till now I had never considered my legacy. Perhaps after the new year.
And yet we very much know what happens at the new year. The events of the new year were very much covered in the first game, and we see what happens with Diane, as well as Diane's relationship with Ryan sort of starts to break down. Still, we survive our first battle with Big Sister, and we have a fair few of those, and in each case we generally won't defeat her. We'll get to a point where she'll just flee from us, but you do need to survive her. And she is obviously a difficult, you know, we saw just there that she's fast, she's very agile, she deals a lot of damage with her sort of very direct attacks. So we do need to be worried. She's going to be some of the toughest sections of this game, and she will come back if you hadn't guessed already. Still, we can continue to pick up healing items. Pick up ammunition. We will be reborn in the cold womb of the ocean. And so we see that the Big Sister is even willing to permanently damage parts of Rapture just in the interest of getting rid of us, which is just lets you know of some of the problem.
In that suit, even the ocean cannot harm you. This is good. But Rapture is the death of many great men. Alone, you will not last long. You can still reach the train station. Find me there.
All right, diary. Last entry. Lizzie and I, we found a sphere, and we're going home. Ain't that right, baby? Next stop, topside.
Oh, I love you. It was you who saved us, Sammy. It was you, Button. What was that? What's that sound?
She's seen us. It's Lamb. Torpedo! Ah, I'm trying to... Ah!
sad end for some of Rapture's residents, at least those who are still around even after Ryan. So we see there another. You see something very similar in the first game, where you see a big daddy protecting a little sister. There you see them using mini turrets, which is something that I don't think we got to use in the first game. So a new type of weapon that we will see here. So we have these relatively brief underwater segments through the game. They're primarily here, they break up certain parts of the game, but you also occasionally will get the chance to find some of the sea slugs from which Tenenbaum harvested the Adam all those years ago, and in that way you can get extra Adam. But if I remember, there are none in this section. This section is primarily here for the view that we're going to get up here. Because can we really have a BioShock game without having a big view of Rapture as we look through here? And as we finally finish, as we come to the end of this first section and this first episode, we should get our first trophy, which is good because we nearly died back there, and that would have been a very swift end to this Let's Challenge. So we'll drain, and yep, we get our trophy. The trophy is Daddy's Home. Which requires getting back into Rapture after this. And so we're going to start the next episode here with the section on the Atlantic Express, where we're finally going to be able to meet up with Tenenbaum and just get a better idea as to what our plans are going to be moving forwards, how we're going to proceed. Okay, so yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this episode of my Let's Challenge of BioShock 2, and I hope you will join me on the next.